Book Review: The Mousehole Cat, a detailed review of the classic work about Mowzer the cat. At its core, this is a story about two forces, two immense opposing forces. One is huge, it's terrifying, a storm so big, so powerful, it basically has a life of its own. It's a storm that's holding an entire village completely hostage. But, as you know, where there's a great darkness, there's usually a small, very unexpected light.
And this is our hero. This amazing contrast right here is the soul of the story. I mean, how can something so small possibly stand up against something so incredibly vast? Well, that's the question we're going to explore today.
All right, so let's dive into our first section. A cat, a man, a storm. Here, we're going to unpack the classic tale of Mowzer and Old Tom. So first, let's get the key details on the table. It was written by Antonia Barber, with illustrations by Nicola Bayley, and it came out back in 1990. It's a children's book, yeah? But it's also folklore, perfect for kids around 5 to 9. And get this, the cat experts at Meomeo gave it a 4.8 out of 5 stars. That is a huge endorsement. So here's the setup. The fishing village of Mousehole is literally starving. A brutal winter storm, which they call the Great Storm Cat, has the harbor completely locked down. No boats can get out, which means no fish, and no fish means people are going hungry. In this moment of total desperation, an old fisherman named Tom Bawcock says, "Enough is enough." And his very loyal cat, Mowzer, insists on going right along with him, straight into the jaws of that storm. It's a fantastic premise for a story, right? Full of drama, courage, the whole shebang. But what if I told you this wasn't just made up? What if the roots of this story run way, way deeper than you think? Okay, this brings us to Section 2, the legend behind the tale. This is where we look at how a local Cornish legend became a children's classic known all around the world. Now, the story makes a really crucial distinction here. This isn't a fairy tale with, magic wands and dragons. It's a legend. And that means its power comes from real human courage, and it's rooted in a real historical event. That just gives this story this weight, this authenticity that most kids' books just don't have. And here's the proof of how real it is. Tom Bawcock's Eve is a genuine festival they celebrate in Mousehole, Cornwall, to this very day. Every single year on December 23rd, they light up the whole harbor and they eat this very special dish called stargazy pie. And yeah, those are real fish heads poking out of the crust. It's to show everybody that the pie is full of fish, a symbol of the incredible catch the real Tom Bawcock brought back to save his village centuries ago. So now we know it's a great story based on a real legend. But what makes the book a masterpiece? Well, the experts at Meomeo point to 3 core strengths.
It all comes down to these 3 pillars of genius working in perfect harmony. The absolutely stunning illustrations, the incredibly accurate depiction of how a cat thinks, and, of course, the profound message about courage that speaks to readers of all ages.
Let's start with Nicola Bayley's artwork because, wow, it is just breathtaking. She creates this incredible visual tug-of-war. On one side, you have the warm, cozy, safe cottage, and on the other, you have the wild, furious, terrifying sea. And the brilliant part is how she draws the storm as this giant, ghost-like cat, turning a force of nature into a character that a kid can actually understand and, confront. Okay, on to the second pillar, the feline psychology. This quote right here just nails it. Antonia Barber gets cats. Mowzer isn't some simple, obedient pet. Oh, no. She is proud, she is independent, and she sees her relationship with Tom on her own terms. He's her human, her servant, who provides fish and good chin scratches. If you've ever lived with a cat, you are nodding your head right now. It's just so authentic. And this is where the story's genius just clicks. So, how does a tiny little cat face down a god-sized storm? Not with claws, not with teeth, but with her purr. She sings to the great storm cat, calming its fury with the most feline sound there is. It's such a beautiful, clever idea. But is it just magic? Actually, no. And this is the truly brilliant part. Science has shown that a cat's purr vibrates between 25 and 150 hertz. That specific frequency range has been proven to have real therapeutic effects. It can lower stress, reduce blood pressure, and even promote healing in bones. The author literally took a real biological fact and turned into Mowzer's magic. It's this incredible mix of folklore and science. Just amazing.
And finally, we have that third pillar, the deep message. This story teaches such a profound lesson. Both Tom and Mowzer are scared. They're terrified. They know they might not make it back, but they go anyway, because their whole community is counting on them. The book just perfectly captures the idea that true courage isn't about being fearless. It's about being scared to death and doing the right thing anyway.
All right, section 4. Is this book for you? So we've established that the book is a work of art, but is it the right fit for your family? Let's get into some practical advice.
The pros are pretty obvious. The art and the writing are just exceptional. It's packed with educational value about history and culture, and it's a fantastic way to start a family conversation about what it means to be brave. On the flip side, just be aware that it uses some older, sort of regional words that you might need to quickly explain. And also, those storm scenes, they are powerful, and they could be a little intense for very young or particularly sensitive kids.
Now, to make the experience even better, you can get really interactive. When you're reading, use a big, booming voice for the storm, and then a soft, gentle purr for Mowzer. You can play a game of Find the Storm Cat hidden in the illustrations of the waves. And to really bring it all to life, pull up a map and find the real village of Mousehole in Cornwall. Maybe even try baking your own pie together. And that brings us to our final section, the magic of a purr. Let's wrap up by coming back to that central image and what that little cat's courage really represents. You know, the book really leaves you with this big question. What is true courage? Is it a loud roar, or could it be a quiet, persistent song? Is it a sword and a shield, or is it empathy and connection? This story suggests it might just be the latter. In the end, the verdict from What Meomeo is crystal clear. This book is so much more than just a story. It's a testament, a celebration of that magical, ancient bond between people and cats. It really shows how we save each other, often in the most surprising ways. And that right there is the final takeaway. In a world that's full of loud, raging storms, the Mousehole Cat reminds us of the incredible power of quiet courage, of gentle strength, and of the simple, healing magic of a purr. And that's a message that is and will always be absolutely timeless.